Well, I'm really excited to be here with 2/5 of Lanco.
2/5. What is that percent? It's 40%.
Now, Brandon, just get ready to hand the mic over because y'all are on one mic too.
We're sharing. We can get real close and do a game.
What are we going to do when you need to talk, though? Are you just going to do that? You're going to be on it, Brandon.
I'm just going to grab it out of his hand and say, give me the mic, dude. It's my turn to talk.
Guys, this podcast is called Get Real, and so that's all it is. I have a setup for 2 mics, and I'm so happy Tripp is here. That was a pleasant surprise.
I crashed the party. You know, I was like, I'm not getting left out of this.
I'll say, too, we just came from the ACMs where you do, like, the remotes, and it's literally like 70 interviews in a day. And most of those stations have a mic, and there's all 5 of us. So we're pretty good at passing a mic around.
That's crazy. All 5. I can't believe y'all have 5. And you said y'all been basically 5 the whole time.
Yeah, we were 5 for 3. No, we were 5 for about, I guess, 8 years. Like professionally doing it 8 years, and then lost the original guitar player to the real world.
How did you decide it was time to go to the real world? Because they do go by the wayside. I mean, you know, it's like you can only hang in there so long.
Yeah.
What do you think that breaking point is, though, when you break it? You know, because like he probably hung in there a long time.
Yeah, I think the breaking point was, so after the pandemic, you know, we were rocking. We can get in all this later if we want, or I don't know what you want to talk about. But
I just want to see where it goes. You know?
Yeah, we put out our debut album in 2018, and it debuted at #1 and #1 album and touring the world and doing the whole thing. And
the greatest love story was like 5 times platinum, right?
Yeah, yes,
that was like 5 million.
Yeah, 5 million and then we had Born to Love You off that record. We had a few songs off that record did really well and set us up to tour around the world. And you know, we were rocking, and then pandemic happens, and that was when just a bunch of change for everyone in the world, and especially in the entertainment industry.
Y'all were selling out like big rooms, right?
Yeah, we were. So in the top of 2020, we were doing a headlining tour. We were alternating weekends. We do a headlining tour, and we were doing anywhere from like 1, 2 to like 4,000 tickets. You know, like
headlining.
Theaters. Yeah, headlining.
That's where you were. That's what y'all were doing before COVID hit.
Yeah, and then we were also on the road. That same tour we were out with Miranda Lambert. So we'd go out with her, and then we'd go do our own weekend and kind of go back and forth. So once pandemic hit, you know, we're home, and that really was like a year and a half of just sitting home. And then so when we came back on the road, even at 2021, even going into 2022, things were still weird and different. You'd play some shows where it was totally cool, and then some shows where like they had seating restrictions, and it was just still weird vibes. And then just on our own front, we got a new record deal and record new music, and you're kind of rebuilding.
Did you feel like y'all kind of like stalled for, not stalled, but just like were parked for like a couple of years?
100% stalled.
Question: was that hard? Because I feel like for bands like you guys and even my husband, 1,000 Horses, it's like there was this huge surge that was happening with y'all, and then y'all are all momentum's moving in the right direction, and then literally it just gets like knocked out from under you. And so it's like y'all were still so new. Did you feel like you had time to like build the roots that you needed with the fans, or did you kind of have to like get back in there and remind everybody because it was stopped so suddenly?
No, there was a few questions there. One is, it definitely, it hit us hard. Like it definitely, there were times where it truly was like the lowest of lows, because these are dreams. You have the dream of doing music. Like I've had it my whole life, and since you're a kid, you have this dream, and to actually piece it together and get the right doors to open at the right time and to walk through them, and to have it work, to have songs connect, is so difficult. And so when that's gone, to think like, literally can lightning strike twice kind of thing. Is that going to happen? The one thing that I think helps is being in a band that our friendships were solidified. We've been friends since college, so I think that even when things were going wrong or things were bad, we could all hang out and complain about together and laugh together and cry together. And I will say, going all the way back, circling back to like even with the guitar player, I think the breaking point really was just if you're not having fun anymore. If you go on the road and everyone will have a bad day, but you can lean on the other guys. You can lean on the other guys and kind of get through it. But I think it got to a point where for everyone has their time, and it just became not fun anymore. And a lot of times you're chilling all day and you wait for that show. If that 60 minutes or 90 minutes, if that's not fun anymore, then it is hard to do it. And so I think that was part of it. But it definitely, when we went back out, it was hard because it was like, okay, do we still have fans? Did we build that foundation? And it was hard because you didn't know, because say there was one show that like literally I think 35 people showed up like after the pandemic, and we were like, oh my gosh,
Is that so
we're
like
smoked.
humbling, or does that just like knock the air out of you?
It's not humbling, wouldn't be the right word.
Depressing?
It's more like I mean, really, it's like getting in a car wreck, and I'm not trying to like. I've been in car wrecks.
Yeah.
And it's that thing when you get, I remember like I totaled one of my cars, when you get out of it and you're thinking, is this real? Because there's this like dream state of like, okay, I've heard about this, I've seen this, but like this didn't just happen to me. And you get out and the smoke clears, you're like, this really happened. My car is totaled. I went from selling 3,000 tickets to 35 people showed up. But then after the show, we walked off stage and the promoter gave me a huge hug. And
he had like tears in his eyes.
Yeah,
he was so excited.
He goes, this is the most tickets we've done since the pandemic. So I was like, okay, so what's going on? Is this the venue? Is this the city? It was up north and they were very strict up there. And it's like, hey, so who do people like us, or are they still there? Are they not coming, or is it and it was a little bit of everything. You know, it's been a minute since you've been out there and you've been hot, but then also the world was still weird. I'll say we just got done with a tour. We put out our second album. We just got done with that tour, and that really, we haven't had a song on the radio. We haven't had a quote hit. But we've had millions of streams since then. And so you go, okay, like we're filling rooms again. Like we're seeing 1,000 to 2,000, and you're like, okay, that's without radio. That's without like a ton of playlists or anything like that. That's just our fans hearing the record and showing up. So I think finally we feel like our feet are under us again, and that thing that we built has come full circle. But yeah, it's been a wild ride.
And two, I think we've had to rebuild our entire team, from booking to management to label to. That's not like a this is done tomorrow process. That's like you go to so many dinners, you go to so many meetings. Let's keep talking, let's continue this conversation. Then eventually you find the one that believes in you and does that. Then it takes them about 6 months to kind of dig their teeth in to get everything going again. And so it's like there's constantly this. It took so much time, and then it was like we got to make the record. So it just took so much time to even get to where we could feel like our feet are under us.
We had a second record. Like our debut came out in 2018. We had a second record set to release in 2020.
Did you scratch that one and do a new one?
Yes.
You just threw it away?
Well, not by that Sony owned that record.
Okay.
And we did it with Dan Huff and Jay Joyce.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, but the tough thing is, once like you have the option with those things. Okay, you can like essentially buy the masters back, like you can get it. But the tough thing now, you're going 2022, 23. It's been now like 3 or 4 years since you wrote and recorded those songs. And now you're at a different place in life. And you're like, okay, now our fans have been waiting for an album, and none of this reflects who we are in this moment. And so we're going to be giving our fans an album, and they're going to think like, oh, here's Lanco. And it's like, yeah, that was Lanco in like 2019 when we wrote and recorded that song. It's 2022, 23. So we kind of had to start over with that too.
Were there any songs that like broke your heart to say goodbye to?
Not really. We kept a couple of them. Like
you did?
The
Which
ones
ones?
that we loved. Memories We Didn't Know We Were Making. We recut that. Low Class Lovers was kind of written in that era.
Well, that was after. That was that. Yeah, that was the only one that's from that era is called Memories We Didn't Know We Were Making. And I don't know, some of those songs came out, like What I See, Near Misses, First Beer, like because how you like release songs leading up to a record. So we'd release like 3 or 4 of our favorites. So the ones that we like loved the most on that record came out anyways. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of them were even sonically, 2019 was a very different time than even in those 4 or 5 years. Just sonically, things are different, and we had changed sonically. So no, I was a little relieved to not have to play some of those songs anymore.
Isn't it wild, like just this whole journey, especially y'all being a band? So how long have like you guys been together? Like how long has like most of y'all been together?
Together, we've been friends since we met in 2012. Right. Yeah. So we met, he was in a band and I wasn't, like, we were both musicians around the same scene. And then I met the other guys in 2012, 13, became friends with them. And so we all like started hanging out and jamming together since like we weren't like a band yet, just figuring it out in like 2013.
It is truly okay. So I want to hear from both of you guys. How do you make this band work? Because it is truly, y'all are all married. Y'all are all fathers. I love that y'all came in today and I was like, I have to wait for Michael because y'all know dad duty and you got to hand off.
Yeah, I just handed off right before I came here. So I get it.
Were you on it all morning?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is dad duty like? What do you guys do with your kids? Because y'all both have it. Is it exhausting for you? Do you do it every week?
Yeah. I keep the kids. If I don't have a ride or I don't have anything that day, usually I'll keep them at home. We have daycare, so that's nice. And then we also have my parents live in town, so that's nice. So Allie has options when I'm on the road, but I keep the kids a couple times a week, and usually it's just we either go, like the other day we went to a pool. We went to my parents' pool, so that was nice.
Because you got to find an activity every day.
Yeah, and so we also had our house cleaned a couple days ago because it's my son's birthday, and so it's like I cannot mess this house up before family gets into town. So every morning it's like first thing, we wake up, get ready, let's go eat breakfast, get some coffee, and then we're gonna just drive around. But we're not going home. We're not gonna mess it up.
Yeah, for me, I built this cage in our basement that I just throw them in. And
how old are yours?
I don't know. No, just kidding. No, they're 4.5 and 1.5. And
because y'all are the same ages.
Yeah.
Did y'all plan to have kids at the same time?
No, we just worldwide.
You're all in sync.
Yeah, a worldwide pandemic hit, and we had a lot of time at home. And we're like, you know what? We should start families. That'll give us something to do. Give us something to write about. We really did. Everyone in the band, we all got
pregnant at the
like
same
around
time.
The same time. Yeah, I was the first, and then
all 5 of y'all.
Four of us. Yeah.
4 out of 5 of us are fathers. Yeah,
all at the same time. So you'll all have 4-year-olds.
So we have 8 kids at this point. Let's see, 3 girls.
3 girls and
so that'd be 5
boys.
5 boys. Yeah.
I can't keep them all straight.
Yeah,
we need to start a daycare business. Honestly, dude, as much as I pay, it's like, dang,
daycare makes a lot of money.
Yeah, I was gonna say, same. I don't throw them in a cage in the basement. I had them last night. I'm a big activities. Even if it's like going to the store, like it sounds crazy, I'd rather like wrangle them in a store than try to wrangle them in my house. But like last night, literally my wife, it was her she celebrated her birthday with all the girls, and so I had the kids, and it was about 20 minutes before I loaded them up and went to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah,
so we find something to do.
Okay, so where I was going with that, y'all have seen so much together. You guys have grown so much. Y'all been in this for so long. It is a marriage. I mean, like, and also like y'all's wives are probably all married. I mean, it's like, I know band life, like we are all up in each other's freaking life. Like there is no separation.
Yeah.
So that can be very strenuous and it is very difficult. And y'all have 5 personalities. How do you make it work with each other? How have y'all how would you describe each other's role and personality, and then how do y'all make it work together? Because it could be a very toxic relationship, which I'm assuming it's not because y'all been together so long, but maybe it is. But like, how do y'all manage because everyone has an ego. Y'all are all guys. Y'all are all talented. How do you manage the egos? How do you manage just like everybody not stepping on each other's toes, knowing your value, working together, all that? Go.
I don't know. At this point, it is kind of like a marriage in the sense of like, everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and when not to push a button, when to push a button, what's worth fighting for, that sort of thing. But I don't know. We kind of just go, dude. I don't know.
Well, even like what just happened, I could answer the question. Trip could answer the call. I don't care. Like whatever. Like now here's the thing. If I really wanted to say something, like you kind of know, like if I had the answer I'm like, hey, this is how I feel. Now and you kind of just learn, as far as like the ego things go, there are things worth standing your ground on, but at the end of the day, you have to compromise, and it's not, we've never like taken a vote, but you kind of just see where the vibe is going. Like say it's picking a song or say it's a studio moment, it's generally pretty even where someone will do something and kind of look around and you can just tell. I mean, that's the thing. If we're not going to if say I write a lyric or I like write a hook or something, if more than one person is like, I don't know, it's like, okay, you know what? That's probably a good meter for whether or not that is good enough. And I think that's actually where we can be held accountable as opposed to a solo artist. A solo artist, frankly, he's paying everyone to be there, and they're the boss. And so it's kind of hard. Like if he rips a guitar solo, it's kind of hard for like the bass player that's there for a session to be like, I don't know, I didn't feel it. That's a weird. So we actually get to keep each other accountable, and I think there's cool things that. Then other than that is, I mean, we're also friends, and frankly, like my brother, he does a lot of our like video and media work, and he'll like come on the road, and I think like he wishes that we got along less because it'd make way better content. But on the road, we all have our routines. We have different personalities, and that's actually a good thing because Chandler likes to wake up early and go to a coffee shop. I like to sleep in. I like to stay up later. I'm not going to make Chandler stay up later. Like that's not his vibe. And he better not wake me up to go to a coffee shop at 6 a.m. and just live your life. And we really just come together creatively. That's the biggest thing.
So y'all really are your own person on the road. Like y'all aren't like hanging out 24/7 out there.
No, we'll do like say we like if we go golfing, like now 4 out of 5 of us golf. So we'll go like that. But there's been times where like Trip and Jared want to wake. It's like 55 degrees, and to me that's too cold to golf. So like y'all knock yourself out, And there's times where after the show there might be a promoter or something that wants to hang, and I'm definitely the one that's like, all right, like I'm gonna do this. Like I'm gonna. And there's Jared and Chandler maybe like, nah, I'm not into it. And it's just you just live your life. I don't know And I don't know, food, even if it's things like food, if you're not feeling that, don't make a big fuss about it. Just tell the tour manager like, hey, I'll just get something like DoorDash something. I think the biggest thing is there are serious battles that we have to fight.
Amen to
early morning flights. That's one that we're constantly battling. Our tour manager will be like, hey, I got you on the 6:30. Like, no, you didn't. You're changing it now because I'm not waking up.
But then what's hard is Chandler likes to be up at 3 a.m. to go get his flight. But there are battles that are like
so big,
serious, like music industry decisions, and like, should we do this tour or should we do our own? Should we, when we're looking at record labels, should we do this or that? Hey, we're looking at management. There are long 5-hour meetings where we're going in circles. That's a big deal, and that should be a knockdown, drag out, like speak now or forever hold your peace.
So you have to conserve your energy.
Yeah, when that's at stake, everything else, like. Yeah, and just be cool. Like if Jared's leaving his socks around, like, dude, pick up your socks.
Jared, pick up your socks.
And
okay?
It is like a marriage. It's like, you know what? That is not worth. That is not where I need to plant my flag. Like I'll just, and it's things for me too. It's like, I'm also not super organized and clean, so I'll like throw dirty clothes at the end of the bunk and like make like a dirty laundry. If that starts spilling into the bunk, if someone's like, dude, it's like, my bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
Right.
But if it bothers you, then that like. I do not want to create a bad vibe because I don't care about. If you care, then I'll care about this and
it's
whatever.
very mature, guys.
Well, the road's hard enough as it is, I mean,
y'all mature.
You're so tired and all that pretty much 95% of the time.
and now you have kids and a family at home.
Right. But there are certain things worth fighting for. And then there are times where it's like, I don't care. Just you kind of get to a point if you do it long enough to where it's like, just kind of go with the flow, like you'll figure it out. It'll all get figured out.
And honestly, you have to conserve your energy because if you're fighting, like you have these big decisions to make, but then y'all aren't getting along off the road and you're not like supporting each other and you're kind of like your egos are fighting each other, then that's pure torture. And that happens to a lot of bands.
Yeah. And I think that we've done it long enough that it really is like, even if I'm not feeling where everyone wants to go to lunch, I'll just go because when you do speak up and it is like, hey, I'm not vibing with this, you want there to be stake in that. And for me, I would rather it be like if it's a musical thing. Like I do not think that this song and then this song are meshing well together back to back in the set. I think we're losing the crowd. Like, and I will argue if you disagree, then we're gonna have an argument because this is important. Like the set's important. So lunch, but it is and in marriages too. It is the you need to speak your mind because it can be it's you get a divorce over the spilled milk. It's like it's not really about that. It's not really, but yeah, I don't know. Pick your battles.
Do you guys think that being in a band has helped your marriages?
Well, I'll say this: traveling has, I guess, because it's like when you're home, you don't get into like the day-to-day routine that I think a lot of couples do, and so distance kind of makes the heart grow fonder. So it's like, I think when we're on the road, and we are pretty much every week, you get home and it's like, oh, I missed you. You know what I mean? So
and
that helps.
And I think there's also being in a band, I think can help because
That's Sugar trying to get in the door.
You are
Kids running upstairs.
Yeah,
Welcome to the world, our world.
It's my world too.
All of our worlds.
I don't even hear it.
Yeah, I know. If you want to say anything, it really
My dog's
does.
scratching at the door. Little footprints running upstairs. Aren't these the days though? That's what y'all single is about right now.
I'm gonna miss this. That's not our single, but yeah, we grew up together.
We grew up together as a single, and I brings tears to my eyes because it's kind of about like these moments right here, figuring it out.
Yeah, and that's when you're saying you're mature, I can tell you right now. I mean, even now, we'll like cringe. We'll like tell old stories sometimes, and it'll start with laughing, and then it'll be like, that was embarrassing. Because honestly, like that was not actually cool that we did that or that we had this attitude here and there. But what happens when you have a kid, and this is what our song is about, is that you're trying to make them a good person. You're trying to grow them up with these values and these morals. And so if you're saying like, hey, you need to be patient. This isn't the end of the world. Calm down. Then you're thinking like, oh my gosh, that was me a few hours. Like I needed to be told that a few hours ago. And you realize you're on this journey together as you're raising your kid and they're growing up. You're also growing up in a different way.
It really freaking knocks you to your knees, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it has knocked me out. I have had to check myself so hard. It sent me into like getting a life coach when I was like 38 after I had her. Cause I was like, what am I doing? I need to find my self-worth and be fully confident if I'm going to instill that she does the same.
Yeah.
It like points out your own personal struggles and flaws.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I really encourage people like, I've been dating my wife for a long time, but I don't want to say I'm like, I really dreamed of doing music. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And then I met my wife and, fell in love with her, all that stuff. But marriage wasn't something that my entire life I was like, and I think a lot of guys too. Like I was like girls when they're young, like, they'll write their last name. Guys' last
dream of getting married and plan their wedding dress.
Yeah, like my little girl, she's 4. She already does that stuff.
No way.
Yeah, we're like my son. He literally just, like when my daughter was like almost 2, she would take a baby doll and like rock it and take care of it. He literally throws it like into a basketball goal. So there's this thing instilled, and there's exceptions obviously, but there's a thing where okay, I'm getting married, and I really encourage, because that's the first step of being outside of yourself when you get married. That
is so true.
But then kids, here's the deal.
Yeah.
You do decide in a marriage, like if your wife, your husband, if you're getting into it, you have to decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to put my own feelings aside and I'm going to compromise. With a child, you don't decide that. They're going to be pulling your leg. They're going to be you don't have a
forced
choice
upon you,
but to be outside of yourself. Like,
and you have to learn how to regulate your nervous system because it makes you, for me, it's like knee-jerk reactions, and you're like, oh shoot, like you said, I'm like being patient. Like you got to check yourself.
Yeah, it's a thing where like my wife and I, we can disagree what we want to listen to on the radio, and we can have some kind of compromise. I would rather listen to this on the radio, but at the end of the day, now I've got 2 kids. I am not going to win this fight. We're just going to listen to like the Frozen soundtrack or whatever, because it's just, and it really is like, and if you don't, at what cost? It's like
your sanity, your peace.
And so it's a thing where definitely, having kids, it forces you to be outside of yourself for sure.
It does. I know. Okay, so then now the pandemic's over. You guys scratch your true second album, and so now you're on your, I guess, your third body of work, but your second album. Yeah. Your second released album. How did that come about? How did you guys decide it was time to write this? And I love that it's called We're Gonna Make It. Because that feels like telling. Did y'all feel like you weren't going to make it at times? Like, what struggles did you guys have to go through these past 5 years? Because they were hard for me. I don't know if they were hard for y'all.
Just name one. I mean, really, we've been through the gauntlet, both professionally and personally.
Were y'all were at the peak?
Yeah.
What happened after the peak?
Yeah, no, we were at the peak. Like my texting circle was like Dierks Bentley, Miranda Lambert, Luke Combs, like Morgan Wallen was opening for us at the time. Yeah, opening for us. And he, like during the pandemic, we used to fish with him all the time and buddies with him. And then those people's lives, like John and TJ Brothers Osborne, like those people's lives kept going and we stayed here and then actually started going backwards.
And
so
what does that feel like? Because you were on the same trajectory, yet they keep going and you go backwards. How does that feel? Because that's a big feeling.
Yeah, it does, and it's a lot of what this album is about, because what it does is it forces you to truly focus on, like, okay, kind of when you talk about centering yourself and finding your self-worth, what is my life? What is my circle? Who are my friends? And that's like there's a song on the record called "Honey, I Lost My Job Today."
I heard that. That's that one. Was that true story?
Yeah,
like, lost your record deal.
Yeah, and that's literally. I remember coming down, and it was when we had lost our record deal and touring. They're like, "Hey, touring's not going to be happening for like at least a year, realistically," and that's where we get a lot of our income. And I remember walking downstairs and telling my wife, like, "Hey, so I don't have a record deal anymore and we're not touring, and we had just bought a house and just had a baby." And it's like, and then you realize that.
Are you panicking?
You are panicking. Well, but here's the deal. You panic for a moment and you go like, okay, that's where you start realizing, like, dude, I love Dierks, but Dierks is not here right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I love Luke, but Luke is not, like, the CMAs. I love the CMAs. They're not here right now. That record label, they're not, all these people that you had built this relationship with, they're not here on a Tuesday afternoon. You know who's here? My wife is here. My daughter's here. God is here. My friends are here. The guys in the band are here. My good buddy that lives across the street from me, he's here. And you start realizing, like, okay, what is my life and what is the foundation and the pillars that cannot be knocked over, that have not been knocked over, and leaning on those. That's really, I think, what that moment did. And it's been really interesting because we wrote an album from that valley and this perspective of what it's like there and coming out of it. And that's like the song We're Gonna Make It. You know, it talks about, you know, when we're hand in hand on that hilltop, we'll be better off, and know that we, you know, grew from that moment and that we learned and we're better because of it. And it came from that mindset, because that's what our life has been. It hasn't just been professional, because professional is one thing. There's been sickness in our families. There's been death in our families. There's been real life stuff that make the professional stuff look like so minuscule. And so all of that combined in the past few years, and realizing that what do you have? You have your family, you have your faith, you have your support system, and you have your music. That's what you've got, and build from that. And that's what the record's about, and that's what that song We're Gonna Make It is about. And that's definitely the thread throughout the music that we've been doing, is being reflective on the lowest points that we've been in and how we're coming out of them.
So it really kind of gives you the perspective, though, once you get through the absolute valley and you start coming back up, you're kind of almost blessed. It's hard to believe it that happened, because if you don't hit, I know for me and like our life and what we've gone through too, it's like when you survive those kind of things together with the people that are there for you, and you really realize who you are, who you love, who loves you, where you're going to pour your energy. And it's not that all the other stuff isn't wonderful and like a blessing as well, but it's like, oh my God, I just feel like I look at Michael, my husband, and I'm like, I am so proud of us. Like, we have gone through so much that I could never, like, you could never have that with someone else until you go through it, you know?
No, absolutely. And I think that's, you know, we're religious guys, and I kind of, that word can be weird, but, you know, we're all Christians and claim that. And I think that, especially like in the South, you can get you know, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You can get and that's true. But when you actually like look at the Bible, you see Joseph was in prison for 7 years. You look at what it actually means to be in a lion's den. You look at what it means to be enslaved to things, to be in prison. You know, Paul was writing these letters from prison. There's so much valley and so much heartache in the Bible, and you realize that through it all, that, you know, God is bringing you out of that, and that he does bring you out of that. And
that's where you meet him.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
Absolutely. And he's using that to craft you and to make you and to give you this story. Because really, I'll be honest, like even in like our music career, it's like, it's a really cool Hollywood movie kind of story that, you know, we start a band, I meet a producer working a job, he invites us over. I met him working concessions at Bridgestone Arena. literally working a hot dog stand. And I met the producer and Jay Joyce, and we swapped numbers and went over to the studio, and he signed to a publishing deal, and then we made an album. We got a record deal, and our first album's a #1 album, and we're just like hitting it. But I'll be honest, that is like not extremely relatable. Like a lot of the love stories and the stuff that's on that album, those are relatable. But I think that now being able to, whatever good comes from this album and this music that we're making, to be able to say like, hey, this was made out of some of the lowest points in our life, and we are still keeping our eyes focused on the things that are important, and we're keeping our heads up, and we're relying on each other and our faith. It means a lot more. And I think that sometimes God uses that to give you your story to relate to people and to love people even better.
Well, and to add to that, I think through some of like the worst times of the band, like going through that entire process, there were, I think a lot, all of us had to figure out how to have joy. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, yeah.
Because if you're just as happy as your career's doing, especially in music, you won't be happy for long.
That is so
terrible
true.
Career.
If your happiness depends on your success,
right,
you're screwed.
But I think a lot of us figured out, through our relationship with God and through our community, through what he's talking about, when the dust settles and everyone's gone that you knew, and you've got your crew, then it's like, okay, let's be happy that we even get to make music. Let's be happy with the music that we're making. Let's be happy that we have families and homes and, still make a salary playing music. It's like, let's keep in mind that although we may not be where we thought we should be, we're still here. And so, and it's important to love our families and love our kids and be happy with that. Not necessarily like trying to, check another bucket list off the music career.
That is so profound. And I feel like that is the whole point of this entire life. I feel like we're all given dreams and we all have all these obstacles to go through, but it's like the whole goal is to get to this. Cause it's like, I've interviewed so many people now on this podcast, and every single person has a valley story, if not multiple, that are awful, and some of them so traumatic. And it's like everybody has it. And it's like, okay, you get to what you're saying. How do we be happy? If we can't be happy, then what is it? And happiness comes from what you guys are talking about. You have to get to that place where it's like, okay, this is what's in my soul. This is the true happiness is. And that sometimes is the hardest thing to learn. But then when you go through it, you're like, oh my God, now no one can take that away from you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And you see that in real life instances. It really is like, like that show, we sold 35 tickets. I can promise right now, my daughter could care less whether I sold 35 tickets or 35,000 tickets. What is my temperament that day? What is the love that I'm giving to my wife that day? Yeah. What was the love I was giving to her? And so when you realize that is, and that's really what life is with everybody. And I even tell when, if we get new crew or something like that, I tell everyone like, hey, I really want you to treat people well, to treat the hands here, and hands are like crew people at venues, for anyone listening, to treat the staff here well, because at the end of the day, maybe someone will remember a song or two, but the reality is people remember how you treated them and how good you were to them. That's what is the lasting impact you have on people. And so it's so much bigger than music. Music, it's a wonderful thing and it's a beautiful thing, and we get to impact people, but really the metrics that Nashville or the industry can set, those are literally just on a piece of paper for quarterly reports. They're not really measures of anything outside of that. And so you really have to look deeper than that. And it's an important thing that, we've learned.
Guys, y'all are so wise.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Y'all are dropping wisdom.
We're sharpened by fire.
Yeah. But that's the only way to do it, is to go through it. Now that you have so much wisdom, nobody can take from you. Like what y'all know, you can't teach it in a class.
Now that I'm wise, I'm going to start selling insurance.
Actually, maybe you can teach it in a class. I'm going to start a class, master class.
Actually, people would probably learn it from you because you've been there, What if y'all did? Just like share everything you know. So then like people can just skip through it.
Book one day.
You heard it here first.
But it is true though. Like you really, like once you go through that, money can't buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you also start to realize like with this career specifically, success is such a weird thing because in music, it's not a tangible thing. It's a collection of moments. So like
that is so true.
You might sell 3,000 tickets one night, and we've done that this year. And the next night there might be 300 or 400 people, and you're like, well, what's going on? Like, it's not like we show up every day and the building's bigger. You know what I mean? Like, we own the office. The office is nicer. We have more employees. You can't like see the growth. It's not like a tangible thing.
Yeah, and I remember
so it's.
Sorry, no, I was on that point. I remember there was an artist that I was talking. This is years ago, and this act had just won a CMA, and we were on tour with them. And the next day, there weren't more people. There wasn't like paparazzi. There wasn't. And I remember them talking like, man, I was talking to my manager and just saying like, I thought things would be different. You know, they ended up having to fly for like a radio show. And literally 2 days later after winning a CMA, we were playing in a pizza shop and trying to sing over people serving calzones. And he was telling his manager, you know, I just thought things would be different. And the manager said something that I think is so true. And I still hold to this day is, you know, and this manager has managed huge acts that have had lifelong careers. It's like, you know, your career in music, it's a puzzle. And every CMA, every concert ticket, every spin, every t-shirt you sell, they're just these little pieces put in the puzzle. And one day you're going to look back and you'll see it. You'll see it, but that's
beautiful.
Yeah, but you're never gonna just see that. It's near impossible that one piece is gonna be like, now the puzzle's complete. It's like, no, you're just gonna keep putting pieces in there, and then one day you'll look back and see what your life was and what your career was, and it's a beautiful work of art.
So has success changed for you guys? Like, was it once one thing and now it's something different?
No, we all got CDs already. That honestly, so our entire goal as a band for about 6 or 7 years from when we started was to get CDs.
Why?
I don't know.
Funny.
Yeah. Because you ain't never seen anyone frowning on a jet ski.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah.
Anytime we were down, we're like, man, they say money can't buy happiness, but I ain't never seen anyone frowning on a jet ski.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, if we just get jet skis one day, we'll all be happy. So that was a goal.
Now we have to move the goalpost. We haven't quite figured out what that goalpost is yet, but jet skis were that was the ladder we were trying to climb. So yeah, I don't know that music or success has changed us. I think our families and our kids have. Like you know, when you have kids, like we talked about, I think you start to realize what's truly important. And so I think that has definitely changed us. But again, success in music, it really is so weird. It's like you'll do 3,000 tickets and play a radio show at a pizza place.
Yeah, and as far as like what our definition of success is, there's also an aspect where it's if I want to get like not all like mushy gushy wisdom profound, like I still want to sell tickets. I still want to hit big numbers. I still will look at streaming numbers and be like, oh, what do we got? And I will spend hours on a phone. What do we got to do on socials? What do we got? Because I want to win. But there's this dichotomy of the reason for that. The reason that I want to keep surviving and keep making music and keep being my job is because I want a big single, I want a big song, but it's because I've seen the personal impact that music has on people, and I want to be a part of that. We did a thing with St. Jude not too long ago, and you know, you go play with the kids, and we have a song called Where I Belong. Where I Belong is not a single right now. It's not a hit. It hasn't been played on a single station. It's just a song on the record, and there's a music video for it, and I love the song, but it's not a song that by Nashville standards, you would never, for what that song has done, you would never get a high five, you'd never get a drink bought for you. No one would say congrats and pat your back because of Where I Belong right now. But when we went to St. Jude, you know, there was this little girl that had been diagnosed with cancer, and she was undergoing chemo and radiation. And the mom said, hey, she's too embarrassed, she's too shy to tell you this, but your song Where I Belong, that's like our pump up anthem for radiation. And like that song has just been our anthem. And so that right there, it's like, okay, we got to keep going. We got to get these streaming numbers up. We got to get these because this is what our music does to people, and we got to keep fighting this fight because it has an impact on people. So there's this world, this like Venn diagram, this yin and yang, where like they combine, where it's like the tenacity and the fierceness that you have to approach the music industry with, because you have to. It is not a game. Anyone wanting to do this industry, you better come with your gloves on, ready to fight, because
like
it is
armor
a fight.
up.
Yes, but the reason you better be doing that, because you're going to get hit so many times. Better be because there's something in the back of your mind that's bigger than just the hits you take. It's the impact that you have on people.
I'm just going to call it right now. I think you guys are about to like blow up, but not just because y'all aren't already so great and who haven't before, but this is what the world needs, is not just the great music, but y'all have the great music. And there is such a story with you guys behind it. Like, you guys are so impactful with just the humans that y'all are, the way you've been chipped away at, how you have like chosen to grow and get closer to God and like grow through these valleys. Like, this is what people truly need more than anything. We've tried everything else. I feel like the world has tried everything.
Yeah.
And we're finally at the point where we're like, okay, if we don't get to the truth of what really actually matters at life and have people in a spotlight also preaching that, because it didn't used to be, people weren't as like open about this stuff back in the day. But I think mental health is so real. People are so broken. It's like, okay, what is actually the way to happiness?
Yeah. No, I think everyone, and I think technology has kind of fast tracked this path to everyone hitting a breaking point, because the technology we have now, you can get anything you want on your doorstep. You can see anything you want to see. You can have access to any knowledge you want, and people are still, they're more broken than ever. And that's a huge question mark as to why. And I think that it's because, you can't keep going in the same path we've gone, where it's like, just this. And trust me, I love to have fun. I love a good Friday night. I love drinking a cold beer with the people that I love. But behind that, it's okay. But why is that such a great thing? And why do we have this fun? And when there's a breaking point, what do we lean on? I think there's such awareness now of it, and I think people are trying to find it. And, I'm willing at any moment to share our story and share what we know and what we've been through. And we're all on this journey together. Mankind, we're all humanity. We're all trying to figure it out together. And anything that I can take from our story and how we've recovered and how we've put the pieces back together to try and be a light. I think people need a light right now. And any way that we can try and point people towards that light, we're here for.
Freaking love it. Okay, so tell us everything we need to know about what's going on with you guys, where we can find your music, what you're most looking forward to for the rest of this year.
Yeah, so we just put out this album called We're Gonna Make It, and if you've liked anything you've heard in this conversation, there's a soundtrack to it, and it is this album, and it's all there. And there's a lot, it's not, this has been a heavy conversation. There's a lot of lightheartedness and fun, because that's a lot of life, and I think that having fun is a blessing, and the little moments are a huge blessing. We write about those too, but we're out supporting that album. We're touring, really like seriously touring for the first time in years. We have our first single to country radio in 5 years.
Okay, so how is touring and how's the single? How does it feel?
Feels good. It's been crazy. Like, we just did our first show with a radio station last week, and it's our first time doing that in like 5 years, and it's been really cool to see that people still connect with us and are still there, and that we can still bring that to shows and to radio stations. We're really loving it, and we're getting back out to the fans, and it's just been, it's felt like a homecoming. It hasn't been like a, oh yeah, y'all. It's been a, where have y'all been? I've missed y'all. And so it really is, I don't know, touring has kind of felt like a homecoming, and it's been so much fun. So we're supporting that album. Then our single's called We Grew Up Together, and it's just the journey of parenthood. And I tell people, even if they don't have kids, we all came from somewhere. And this song, if you don't have kids, think about your parents and understand that whatever your situation was, your parents, hopefully they did the best they could, but they were trying to figure it out, and they were growing up too. And so it's been fun to be singing that song on the road, and back at it.
Heck yeah. Okay, and then following you guys is just Lanco.
Yeah, Lanco, Lanco, and Lanco Music is like, I think, I don't know. It's funny, people ask that. It's like, I don't know. I don't ever Google us. I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure it's lancomusic.com. And
Lanco, hopefully, Lanco band or something on Google, you could find everything.
Yeah, hopefully you have a good S.
Was be like, y'all don't know your stuff.
No, that's what we pay you for.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, Lanco Music, Lanco Band. I mean, you know how to find it. Someone, I believe in you, whoever's listening to this.
You guys are amazing. I'm so just excited for y'all in so many ways, but mainly just like who y'all are as people. Y'all are really great people. That's awesome. And y'all are a great band.
We did it.
You did it.
We fooled them all. No, thank you. I feel, these podcast things are so weird, because in the real world, after every one of these questions, I would ask you a question about your life and yourself, but you end up talking so much about yourself. But thanks for having us, and thanks for letting us share our story.
I love it. Okay, so I always wrap up with leave your light, and it's just super open-ended. What do you want people to know? Just drop some inspiration.
What do I want people to know?
Mm-hmm.
There's more to life than money.
What is it?
Well,
What
for
we
me
talked about?
personally, it's family, it's God, it's community, and frankly, like some of the best days are the slow mornings where it's like you walk outside, you drink a cup of coffee, and you just sit in your yard and let the sun and the breeze hit you. You know, like sometimes that's like better than playing a sold out show. So it's like there's more to life than all of the things that I think we tend to get caught up in.
Amen.
Oh yeah, my turn. No, I mean it really is kind of what the theme of this whole conversation has been. But we're in a world right now where it's very easy. It's so crazy, but somehow with all the access to information we have, people feel more isolated than ever. And so I always encourage people to know that you are not alone. For some reason, you just get on these phones and start scrolling, and that makes, by seeing more, you feel more alone. And so I always tell people, you are not alone. There is somebody in your life that loves you. Lean on that person. And ultimately, I do believe there's a God that loves you. And as weird as it sounds, you don't have to know what that means. Lean into that. And you'll be okay. And I love you. I believe in you.
Oh, you guys.
What's your inspiration? We got to hear yours now.
I love everything we talked about. I think too, like it is so powerful when you do go into those valleys, and when I would say if you are in a valley right now, or if you're like heading towards one, do not be afraid. Mm-hmm. But like you said, lean on people who love you, lean on things that you know are good for your soul, because you will make it through and you're going to be such a better person. But it sucks so hard while you're in it. Yeah. Like awful. But yet that is what truly, it's like, that is the fire you're saying, like made by fire or whatever. That is how you get made into who you're supposed to be. And so it's really beautiful, like talking to you guys, seeing y'all on the other side of that fire, because I know y'all went through it. Like even just hearing y'all's story right now, but you hung in there and you didn't like totally let yourself get destroyed by it. You didn't become a victim. You're not mad at everybody. Instead, you like come full circle and like gotten to a place in yourself where it's all about you and having peace within your own self. And you get that through going through the fire. So I just think don't give up in the fire.
There you go.
Amen. Thank y'all for joining. Can y'all stick around for like 5 minutes to do a few questions, to draw a few questions? Yeah. Okay. Here. Brandon and Trip from Lanco. This was so fun. Y'all are the best. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.